Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Leanna and today we're talking about preventing returns before they happen. There are a lot of videos out there about returns and cases, and they teach you how to fight a case, they teach you how to go through a case and all those kinds of things. Nobody really talks about preventing returns before they can even happen. And I'm very much a preventative kind of person. I want to fix it before it becomes a problem. And I do a few certain things in my listings and in my photos that I'm going to share with you. And I do believe that doing this has kept my return case opening or whatever cases, my rate, it's kept it under 1%, which is really good. Now, a couple of disclaimers. First of all, I'm not a huge volume seller, and it's only law of averages that if you sell thousands of items per week, per month, your return rate is going to be a bit bigger just because of the sheer volume. Another disclaimer is returns are going to happen. Unhappy customers are going to happen. There's no way that 100% of the time you are going to make 100% of the people happy. So just know that it's going to happen, and that's okay. It's not a personal insult. It's not to be taken as such. It's just about a customer being unhappy about what they purchased. And when you sort of take away the emotion, it really does help you to learn how to deal with that. Now, I was not always like this. This is 4.5 years of experience in this business, plus having to deal with other people and other businesses. I did a lot of customer service. So I've learned that, what, it is what it is. I know my very first return here on Poshmark Canada, I was really upset about it. And I just automatically assumed I made a mistake and I let the actual buyer return it. I wouldn't do that nowadays. But there would have been changes in my listing as well with that case. So we're going to talk about that. Rule of thumb, number one rule of this whole entire thing to prevent returns: do not lie. Do not mistag or misrepresent your item to the best of your ability. Sometimes you miss a flaw. It happens. But make sure you tell them about flaws. You tag it with the right brand. George is not Anthropology. Don't lie, and you will be that much further ahead. So moving on to a couple of my tips and tricks with photos. We're going to start with photos. I'm going to pop up my notes there. Okay, so with photos, use as many photos and videos as you possibly can, showing every aspect of the item. Top, bottom, side, inside, outside, whatever. And always make sure you photograph the flaws and point them out so that they're right in a buyer's face. It's like, here you go, look at this, look at this. I also photograph my measurements. Okay, so first, a couple of things. Use as many photos as you can or as you need to. If you have something like this is just the lid to my candle. You're not getting 16 photos of this because that's just ridiculous. There's too many, and there's little flaws because there's tape on it, but use as many as possible to get all aspects of the item. That is what I mean. Okay. I photograph my measurements because it gives me extra weight to help me back up what I say in my description. So therefore, if I say the pit-to-pit measurement, I don't use that. I use chest. But if I say that is 16 inches, I have a photo of that 16 inches to back me up. Now, it doesn't take me any much longer. It doesn't take me any longer to take photos. It takes an extra 20 seconds maybe to add photos in to the listing and to take the photos of the measurements. You're taking the measurements anyway. Click. Take the measurement. Click. It doesn't take that much longer, and eventually it becomes routine and you're always doing it, and therefore you become more proficient at it, right? So I always add photos of the measurements because people measure at different places, and they do that to win their cases. So for instance, if I have a pair of jeans, I measure the waist above the waist. That's just where I have always done it, and that's what I do, and I show you that in my photos. If somebody says, hey, the waist is off, and they show a picture where it's an inch below the waistband, there's a difference there, and I could say, well, they get a different measurement because that's where they measured. This is where I measured. This is what it is in my listing. So it does give you more weight. It protects you because you're showing them already. And I think when you do this, when you add as much information, when you add in all these photos, the scammers of the world kind of take a step back and go, yeah, I don't want to mess with them, because it makes it harder for them. If you're not going to add in any information, you're going to open yourself up to people that will absolutely scam you and cheat you out of things. 100%. I do believe that. Not that I believe there's a ton of scammers out there, but there are some. If you use stock photos, that's all I'm going to say. If you use stock photos, always make sure you have a photo or more of the actual item on hand. Because as a buyer, I know I'm not going to buy just from a stock photo from Poshmark or eBay. If it's on their website, that is a different story. But if I go, and I was going through Poshmark all weekend, I was popping in and out of shows, and I was going through people's closets because I had some credit I wanted to spend. And the amount of listings that I found that only had 2 or 3 photos, that only had stock photos, it was like, I'm not buying from you because I want to see the actual item that you're going to send me. So keep that in mind. All right, moving on. Titles and descriptions. Again, I'm going to say, don't lie. Be as honest as possible. Use factual information. So what I mean by that is brand, size, style names, measurements. Make sure that they're all factual and to the point. Using information that's sort of perception-based. Excellent condition, that could be all onto somebody's perception of excellent. I tend to undersell my condition. I do a lot of good overall condition because I just feel it protects me more. Because if I say that something is in good condition with minor flaws or a couple scratches, see the photos, I've pointed out the flaws, I will actually say if there is a flaw, like good overall condition with a small spot here, see the photos, just to reiterate to the buyer that there is a flaw. But I tend to undersell my condition because it is more of a perception. And what I figure is good, somebody else might think is excellent, but somebody else might think is poor. So try not to rely heavily on perception-based information. Okay, so another thing we want to talk about is the color. Color is, again, it's sort of a perception sometimes. If something is definitely blue, then it's blue. But, like, for instance, again, with this lid, you might see blue, right? Some people might see green. I see sort of, and I'm in real life with it, I see it's more of a blue, green, gray. So I put all those colors in for this because it's sort of a light teal, but I would go very simple and say blue, green, gray, because that's what I see and that's what I think. And I would also point them towards a photo that best represents what I see in real life. Colors are weird sometimes because, yeah, you have black and yellow. That is definitely black and yellow. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And in that case, I would use Posh's colors because it's very straightforward. For this, I wouldn't use Posh's colors. I would leave them blank because I could put blue-green, but really to me there's gray in this, so I wouldn't want to suggest. So I wouldn't use Posh's colors on this type of thing. Oops, sorry. So be careful with the colors because they could be perception. Try to represent them in the best possible way you can. And if you don't want to use Posh's color codes, then don't. Just don't. Just do it to the best in words in your description, and that should cover you with the, what's the word? Idiosyncrasies of people's perception. Say that 10 times fast. Holy moly. All right. So, do not lie is basically the message of this. Adding no returns to your listing, especially on Poshmark, is a waste of time because you really don't have much control over that. If you misrepresent the item, regardless of whether it's for fit or whatever, you could be made to take the return. So just adding on no returns is sort of an intimidation sort of thing that people do, and it's misleading, and I personally don't do that. I just leave it. You know what? I'm giving you as much information as I possibly can Therefore, you're going to make your own decision. That's what I want you to do. So even if you do all this, people are going to ask questions, right? And that's okay. When the question is answered in the listing, I still answer the question. I still do, because it builds a rapport with the customer. And if you're going to be pointing out to them that they missed something or making them feel maybe stupid, they're not going to like that, and they're maybe not going to buy from you. So I just answer the question and just say, hey, if you have any more, let me know, type of thing. When I get a question when it talks about, is it fitting true to size? That's again, that's a perception. And what I tend to do is I err on the side of caution. I talk to them about, I provide measurements, so if you want to check it with something that you already own that fits, that will help you to decide whether or not it's going to fit you. When it's a pair of shoes, because that's different, because I don't measure a lot of shoes, I tend to go to the actual website of that brand, and I Google, does this brand fit to your size, whatever. And a lot of them are really, you get a lot of information. Some say, no, you know what, you should order a size up. If you're a regular, a size 7, order a size 8. And I just pass that along to the buyer. And I also ask them if they want measurements, because why not? I am there to answer their questions. That's part of my job. So those are the few things that I do, and it does help me. I do find that I don't get a lot of issues, after the fact, and I want to prevent the after. I want to be able to stop a sale if it's not going to fit the person before they even buy it. Because you know what? If I say to a person, oh yeah, it's going to fit you, and they get it and it doesn't fit them, that's a pain in the butt for them. And for me, because now I got to fight a case, even though I said it was going to fit them. But I want to prevent the buyer from making a bad buy before they actually buy it. That's part of my job. I'm putting the horse before the cart there. And you know what? That's just the way I do business. It works for me. I prefer that. I don't want to be dealing with a whole bunch of cases. I just don't. I don't want to be that YouTuber who gets mail and doesn't know they're getting a return in the mail, which I think is ludicrous. I think you should be very aware of all parts of your business. Just put it out there. Okay. Anyway, I've had a day, let me tell you. I got into a little bit of a disagreement on Facebook, which we're going to talk about on Friday. It wasn't a big deal. Usually I scroll. I, honest to goodness, scroll through a lot of people who humble brag, which is one thing that just irritates the poop out of me. Humble brags are just annoying, but I scroll past them. I just scroll past them. But when you start spouting misinformation, I do tend to question it. We're going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave you with, this is what I'm going to do. I've had a day. I've already listed a few things. I have some groceries to go get. I have to make the bed. I have a few, household stuff to do. But I also am issuing myself a listing challenge. So for the past few weeks, I have been relisting my whole entire closets, both of them. I have added backgrounds to 98% of my listings. I love the way it looks. They are still showing up on Google, so I think that's good. And I think it's because Google doesn't necessarily acknowledge the change in a sense. So anyway, I love the way it looks. I don't know if it's going to make my sales any better, but we shall see. But I've been concentrating on relisting. So now I really need to get some of that bins haul stuff that I've been buying. I gotta get it listed. So I'm issuing myself a 7-day listing challenge. It's gonna be a challenge. I want to list 100 items between this video and next Tuesday's video. 100. I'm at 6 right now. Yay! I had some that I wanted to that were in drafts, so I wanted to get a head start on. But that means today I gotta get to the office and I've got to photograph and prep. I want to make sure that I did 6 today, so I need 9 more plus 15 for tomorrow, so that's 24. So I want to go and see if I can get 25, 26, 27 done and dusted and prep up for the next batch. This means I have to do 15 listings each and every day. If that means I do 21 day and 10 another, that's okay. But 100 listings. Wish me luck. I'm hoping that the influx of new listings will help the sales. Sales are okay right now. Posh Canada is doing really, really okie dokie. Posh US has sort of went, but that's okay. It's usually not my best performer anyway. I don't know what's going on with that. I think it's just a bigger market. We'll see. Anyway, listing challenge this week. I'm going to be doing some silent shows. There is some news about Posh Live shows that I'm going to share with you, I think, on Friday. I think I'll be allowed to do it then. We shall see. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Wish me luck with the listing challenge. If you want to issue yourself a listing challenge and make yourself a cannibal, down below in the comments, and we will keep each other on track. Anyway, that is it for today. Everybody have a great week. I'll see you on Friday. Bye.